not recording. Hello, I'm in Ontario now, and I have some water bottles, and I am looking for a natural spring, and I know I'm supposed to go somewhere in this direction. Hopefully, I don't meet any bears. I see a little path here. A lot of people know about this spring. Yeah, I see the trail. I see it. I don't want to meet any animals. Mommy, come save me. Ah! I'm coming down. You better not be an animal. Okay. I heard rumbling from a vehicle. And, yeah. So there is a natural spring. So a natural spring is when the aquifers underground fill up and they end up pushing through the earth to make a spring. And so here we are. There we go. That is natural spring water. Let's just pop you there. And it is ice cold no matter what time of year and tastes very good. So I've got my water bottle. I got Kate's water bottle, and I'm refilling my spring, and I haven't had water from this spring. Oh, there we go. In years. I think the last time I had spring water was maybe when I was 13 or 14. So I'm really looking forward to this. If you can find any natural springs in your local area, I highly recommend you take a hike out and go try them. Reel it in, keep going. Keep going. Oh, it got away.
And not
Good.
Okay.
There. Hi. Ready to go home? All right, so I'm back from Ontario, and the gym was closed all of July, and then I went to Ontario at the start of August, so it was the first day that I was actually able to get to the gym. And if you follow us on social media, you would have seen a couple pictures of my daughter looking pretty ill and then looking better in a few of the other ones. So that was a really rough, scary start to the trip. Basically what happened was we got into my parents' hometown Thursday evening, and by about 10 o'clock we were at my brother's house where we were staying, and we visited with my sister-in-law for a bit, and then we went to bed. And my daughter was complaining about her stomach hurting, and so if you have kids, you know, they tend to like hold off going on to the bathroom, and they get tummy aches because of it sometimes. So I kept asking her, do you have to poop? Do you have to poop? Do you have to poop? And she kept saying no. So finally she said that she had to go to the bathroom, and she went and did a bunch of business. And I was thinking, great, now her stomach can get better. And it didn't. She didn't have any improvement in her pain. And I was kind of like fretting over whether or not I should call my dad to pick us up, because my brother was at work. He works overnight in the mine there. And I would have had to call my dad to pick us up to go to the ER, which is about a 15-20 minute drive away from my brother's house. So I had to factor in how much discomfort she was in, how long it would take us to get to the ER, and like how willing I was to try to hope that bathroom break she had would actually help. And finally I called my dad, and I was like, if nothing else, if she's better by the time he gets here, I know he'll be worried that I'm like wanting to take her to the ER, and he'll be okay with it because he's on days off, and I'll be okay. But he arrived, and yeah, so my dad showed up, and she couldn't walk by herself. She was curled up in the fetal position. She had fallen asleep, and I was thinking maybe if I can poke her belly and she's asleep and it doesn't bother her, then she's fine. But it hurt her even while she was asleep, so I knew that whatever the problem was still there. We took her to the ER, and the doctor saw her and asked a bunch of questions, tried to feel her tummy. But every time she poked her tummy, she would tense up her muscles, and the doctor couldn't actually feel anything. So she said that she was going to give her some Tylenol and an anti-nausea, and we were going to monitor her for like an hour, hour and a half, and then send her home if she was feeling all right, and we would come back for a follow-up in the morning. And before they even got her medicine, she started throwing up, and so that worried the doctor. She wanted her to keep her overnight for observation, and so by then it was about 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning, and we stayed all night, and she on and off all night for like every 5 minutes, then every 10 minutes, and then 15, and finally by the time she got to 20 minutes between heaving, I was able to cuddle with her a bit and try to get like micro naps. I think I got about 20 minutes sleep in total that night, and she was still not doing well in the morning, and the doctor was worried that it was her appendix. We couldn't pinpoint where the pain was, but where she was complaining about pain is a general area. Fun fact, if you're worried about your appendix and you don't know whether or not you should be going to the hospital, try to hop on your right foot. If you can hop on your left foot comfortably, but you can't hop on your right foot, that's your appendix. So the doctor was poking her right side, and she did say it was hurting worse on her right side than her left side. So I asked her to hop on her foot, and the doctor was like, that's a really good idea. And she could do it, but she was really uncomfortable, and she was saying that it really hurt. So the doctor wanted to call a surgeon for a consult, and she called the surgeon. The surgeon wanted to see her. The thing was, in that area of Ontario, they have one on-call surgeon for like a 3-4 hour radius, and that way every doctor doesn't have a surgeon on call 24/7 just like exhausting themselves, which makes sense when you're in more northern areas. And one of the problems was, though, is because we're from Manitoba and we were in Ontario, we couldn't be medevaced by like helicopter or plane, because our province doesn't cover out of province medevacs. Now there was some stuff we could do paperwork on to get it covered, because I'm First Nations in Ontario, in Canada. My band would have covered it, but the doctor was saying they were very happy with how stable she was, and the amount of time it would have taken to do the paperwork, do the red tape, get the approval. We could have already been into the town where the surgeon is. So we drove, and we left at about 8 or 9 o'clock, and it was a 3.5 hour trip to the town where the doctor is. We stopped off at a little city along the way because it was in our medical papers. If you're concerned, stop at this one city, because they have 2 surgeons, but they may or may not be in, which is why we were being sent to the on-call surgeon in the other town. And we stopped there, and I didn't sleep at all on that trip. I was so scared, and I really hope nobody ever has to go through that. I spent most of my time trying to rest because I was in a vehicle. There's literally nothing you can do, and you have to take care of yourself so that you can be there for your kid. But every time I would fall asleep, I'd shake awake, and I'd look at her to make sure she was still breathing. And it's the scariest damn thing in my life. But we got to Dryden, Ontario, and we went to the hospital, and they told us, you're going to have to go on to Sulikout because the surgeons weren't in. But the doctor said we can give her some medicine to make sure that she's comfortable for the rest of the trip. And I asked about an ultrasound, and they were worried that it would slow down her access to care. And then the doctor said, we want to make sure that the medicine they give her kicks in before you get off driving. So what they were going to try to do is get a quick ultrasound in before we left, and they were able to arrange that. And by that point, she was throwing up a bit again, and I had to carry her everywhere because she couldn't walk. She was still, like, I had to carry her fetal position. And we got to an ER bed, and they gave her the medicine there. And then I picked her up and put her in the wheelchair, and they brought her to the ultrasound, and I put her on the bed. And the ultrasound tech was really nice. All the medical staff were amazing on this whole journey, and they couldn't actually find her appendix because there was too much poop and gas in the way. But when she was getting her ultrasound done, the medicine started kicking in, and I think having the wand like go around in her belly was actually kind of like a stomach massage, and it made her have to go to the bathroom, where all she did was pee, but she wanted to get off the bed herself and walk to the bathroom herself. And the tech and I kind of looked at each other. This kid who like was bent over and not able to walk like 15 minutes prior was stubbornly trying to climb off the bed as well as she could because she was still in pain. And so we were kind of happy about that. That was a good sign. And she went to the bathroom, she climbed back onto the bed herself, and she finished the rest of her ultrasound. By the time we got to back to her ER bed, she was actually more like herself than she had been at all that day. She was still very uncomfortable, but she was starting to be my daughter again, and not this like bent over little ball of pain that she had been all morning. And I was feeling so much better after that. The doctor came in and said that he wished he could tell us that it wasn't the appendix, but even though like there's a lot of other stuff that could be contributing to her discomfort, they couldn't still rule it out. So we moved on to the next hospital. There is a province-wide database, so we had blood drawn in my hometown hospital. We have the results of the ultrasound from this hospital. So when we get to the final hospital, they have access to all that information, and that the surgeon there will be able to look at everything, look over her again, and still be able to figure it out. So we continued on to the next hospital, and I was able to get a couple more micro naps. And by this point, I'd probably had about 40 minutes of sleep total. And this is at like 2:00 in the afternoon on Friday, and I'd woken up at 7:50 a.m. Thursday, so that's well over 24 hours. I don't know how I was not like just exhausted by the time everything was over. But we get to the hospital, we sign in, we talk to the surgeon, he pokes her around some more, talks with her, and he's pretty sure that it wasn't her appendix. He wanted us to stay in town overnight and then come in for a follow-up in the morning. He gave us some like instructions on like how to get more liquids into her safely, and what to let her eat, and what to look out for overnight. If something happens overnight, bring her in right away. But he was happy with how she was and what we told him about like what she had been eating prior to that, and he was pretty sure she was just very severely constipated, which turns out that's what it was. She had eaten a lot of green beans and cherries and cucumbers the day before traveling from Winnipeg to Ontario, and so we're pretty sure that all contributed to everything. The neighbors, I'm just gonna wait. And we spent the night there, and she used the bathroom quite a few times, and we filled her up with apple juice, which was what the ER doctor prescribed, basically apple juice and popsicles and stuff like with sugar to help move things along. And by the next morning, we went for a follow-up, and then we were on our way home. But yeah, I got to bed at about 9:30, 10 o'clock that night, and I don't know how like I wasn't just like dropping. at supper time, but I was still kind of, I think, fueled on adrenaline and just being so happy that she was going to be okay. But yeah, so that was the start of my trip to Ontario. We made it back for the rest of the family reunion weekend by Saturday afternoon, and otherwise it was a really good trip. And we came back, and when we took, there's a lot of forest fires in the area now. There's actually 3, I think, that are like, one that's 17 kilometers north of our town, so that's 7 miles, maybe 8 miles away, and there's a lot of smoke coming in from that. There were a few others. When the plane was landing, I wish I could have like actually recorded pictures, but I saw 2 forest fires from the air as we were landing on into the airport. So that was interesting, and that's summer in the north. Forest fires everywhere. Normal sky, forest fire sky. Normal sky, forest fire sky. Hi, it is Sunday, August 20th. So I think I'm just gonna put this in with what I thought was the end of the last video, because I haven't done much. I went to the gym a couple days ago. I went to the gym a couple days ago. I'm going to the gym today. And there's so many cars in the parking lot, which means I think the gym is going to be busy, because the pool is closed right now for like pump issues, but the gym is open, and I don't want it to be busy. But yeah, gonna go work out. I guess I'll have to figure out what I can do. I know that when I went to the gym a couple days ago on Friday, there was this jerk that was like hogging everything. He had the bench press set up, he had the preacher curl set up, and then there was like some setup at the squat rack that I thought was his as well. But it wasn't, but it was not like taken down, and he was just going back and forth. So I had to like rearrange what I wanted to do that day based on like what he was already hogging. And so that was a little rude and annoying. I hate when people do that. Like, I understand doing supersets and whatnot, but couldn't he, like, I don't know, put a preacher curl bar beside the squat rack instead of taking like the actual section? Like, there are multiple bars in the gym. So yeah, that's just a little rant. So yeah, I'm gonna go in the gym. Hopefully it's not too busy, get in a good workout, and yeah, hang out with my family, because my husband has some extra days off today and tomorrow, which will be really nice. And that's that. I'll catch up with you later. Planning on going to the gym for a run later today. I did my workout yesterday, and otherwise, this is going to be the end of the video. Is me doing my Eclipse panic spiel, where I ended up looking at it very briefly through a cloud, and it was really cool. At the same time, I'm like, oh my god. And so I went in the house and I told my husband. He's like, just calm down. Like, there's literally nothing you can do at this point. So yeah, that was I don't know why. It was just like, there's a cloud, I want to see the cloud. And then I looked, and then but yeah, and like, I've looked, like, I haven't stared at the sun, but I have looked at the sun through clouds longer than that split second before. So it's more just like a panic attack, because like, everybody talks, don't look at the eclipse. And it's not that it's more dangerous, it's that depending on what part of the world you are, you'll feel a false sense of security due to the lack of sunlight allowing you to stare longer at the sun. So yeah. I hope everybody has been having a good day. If you're in any of the 40, 50, 60, 70%, whatever, even 100%, that's really cool, zones for the eclipse, I hope you viewed it safely and had a fun educational time. I don't know. I enjoyed my little eclipse viewer. Here is a picture of my little eclipse box. And this was the wonky setup I made so that I didn't have to like hold it. And yeah, that's what I did this Monday. Otherwise, I'm playing video games with my husband and just relaxing and doing a lot of nothing. And yeah, so I hope everybody has a good week. Thanks for watching. Please give a thumbs up, subscribe if you would like to see more. I'm going to try to be more active again now that July is over and August has begun. And hopefully I can get back into like a routine, because the gym being closed in July really messed up my schedule and everything. So yeah, hope everybody has a good day. Bye.